What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream here on Ranger Central. And today, honestly, no format. Just kind of going to go into this and talk a little bit, I guess, about yesterday's game. The Panarin stuff still obviously looming. Take your guys' questions, comments, concerns, whatever it may be. Yeah, just going to be more of a laid back stream because honestly, I would stream talking about the games. I just don't have it in me at all. Truthfully, to talk about these games, play by play, all this other stuff. I really just do not care right now. So yeah, I'll definitely just be sitting here taking your guys' questions. Maybe we'll laugh at some tweets again because reactivating my main account, oh my goodness, my replies were flooded with a lot of comedy, which we could definitely address throughout the live stream as well if you guys are interested in all of that, because that was definitely fun to do last time. But yeah, leave a like on your way in, subscribe if you guys are new, turn on your notifications. Let me see who is in the chat right now. J Tech, what's going on? Anthony saying first question, how Wolf share the New York Rangers on scale of a single turd to a big steamy heaping pile. I mean, get the hoop for that one. If this was Big Apple hockey, we'd be getting the hoop. Love seeing Kindle light it up for the Pens. Rangers 2025 draft slot. Meanwhile, our picks can't skate for crap. Laffy, Othman, and I would throw Gabe Perreault all slow. Yeah, but it's okay because I had people in my Twitter mentions telling me, I don't know. I have no clue what I'm talking about because the JT Miller trade was good, apparently, because that was a year ago from yesterday. You know what? Maybe we'll talk about that throughout the live stream as well, because it is hilarious to me that a year later, people are still defending this. It is so funny how people just look at that trade in a vacuum. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Mike and Laugh for Life, Rangers are doing what needs to be done, and that is losing. Yes, they are. At least they got 5 goals in being wolf shit. The Penguins took their foot off the gas. I legit don't even take any stock in like any of those goals. That's also true. They got a guy off waivers, Vincent, the kid Leroy. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. He might be the kid Leroy for all I know. Um, Michael, what's going on? Hope they lose out the rest of the season. So do I. Thank you for all your Twitter posts. Since you came back, got some really good laughs. I'm glad that I could make everyone laugh. I wanted to go back on there and pull up a couple of receipts. It was definitely fun to do. Sorry. I need coffee in my system stat. I'm still so tired right now. Um, do you trade Lafreniere? Yeah, I would. Are they going to? I don't know, because I don't know what they are actually going to get in return for Lafreniere. I don't know what value he has. Matt, what's going on? Imagine we had Kindle instead of Miller. We would be younger, faster, and started the retool a year earlier. Yeah, and it sucks because Nick and I talked about how we liked Kindle going into that draft, but here we are. Here we are, because we had to trade a first round pick last year. Because again, everyone looks at that trade in a vacuum. I think Sullivan's a fraud. No I have no opinion of Sullivan, and I think, it's hard to. People called us clowns yesterday for saying that the Miller trade was one of the worst in franchise history. Again, people looking at it in a vacuum, which we'll talk about. Nicole, what's going on? And I appreciate this as well. Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, I don't know how often I'm gonna do live stream still, especially once the Mets are back. I mean, fuck this team. Actually, fuck this team. The second the Mets are back in Port St. Lucie, which is very soon. Um, it was a good day for the tank. Uh, St. Louis lost. I'm assuming that's what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't even recognize that part. of yesterday. Yeah, down to bottom 3, and St. Louis has a game in hand. So keep on going. What were the expectations this season? Like, be honest. To me, going into the year, my expectations were low. I said at best they'll sneak into the bottom wild card spot, and I thought they were going to be just on the outside looking in. Truthfully, they're worse than I thought somehow, and I had no expectations, and I was deemed as the negative asshole. So that's the funny part. If you ask blue teamers, they thought, "Oh, we're back. Meek is going to bounce back. We're getting a full year of JT Miller. Yeah, getting Mike Sullivan in the building." They thought first place or second place in the Metro. I can't help but laugh. Where are the Rangers going to get better scouting done? Good question. Um, I say trade Laugh. No, the return may be underwhelming, but Laugh's compete and drive is an issue, and it's not changing anytime soon. Yeah, exactly. I would not be against even buying him out if you can't get a good return based on what the buyout is. It's going to be a very lengthy buyout, but it's not the worst thing, honestly, to have to deal with that. They could still make the wild card spot, right? Maybe for playing fiction. Again, I used to believe in fiction books myself at one point. I used to run around my house thinking I was Luke Skywalker with my lightsaber that I would buy at Target. I believe me, I've been there before, but yeah, at the end of the day, no matter how much I tried, I was not Luke Skywalker, okay? I was never I didn't actually have the force. Letter 3.0 incoming when they finish bottom of the league. Yeah. Or in a couple years when this retool that, like I said, speaking of fiction, the retool is fiction. They really found a way to make the Miller trade to the Rangers be even worse than the Miller trade from the Rangers. Yeah. Yeah, they have. The wild card is only like 5 to 10 points out. That is not true at all. They are 17 points out. Boston has a game in hand. Buffalo has 2 games in hand. They are 17 points out. It is over. I thought they were going to finish 5th or 6th in the Metro, but for the second year in a row, they managed to fall below our expectations. That's what's incredible about it is we had low expectations, you and I at least. Um, they couldn't even meet that. Gonna have a You have a feeling that we're gonna get a horrible return for Panarin. So do and that's kind of something I do want to talk about because I'm seeing that report the other day that the Rangers are potentially going to, if the trades with LA, there's a chance that they get Laferriere in return. Here's the deal. I think Laferriere is a solid player. I think he's probably best on the third line on a cup contending team. You can maybe get away with him being the 6th best player in your top 6. The problem is you already have that here with I view Will Cooley in the same light. And if that's your headlining piece, a 24-year-old, going to be 25 early next season, if that is the best you could get when the guy is capped out at 42 points, probably going to get to maybe he could get a 50-point season there. If a 50-point player who's already 25 and probably doesn't have much room to grow is the best you could get in that return, then this is going to be an underwhelming trade. I mean, the names that we're hearing between Laferriere, Shane Wright is the other guy that we have heard a lot about, and that to me is also very underwhelming. I mean, he's 22. At least you get 2 extra years there versus Laferriere, and similar to him, 44-point season is his highest. Maybe there's a little bit more with Shane Wright, but I don't view him as anything more than a 60-point player at best. And if that's what we're talking about, then that's a problem. And the biggest problem is it seems like Drury's targeting players like that, like your Shane Wrights of the world, or your LaFerrières of the world, because they're young roster players and they can make an impact right away. Instead of acknowledging, because this is why this retool is not going to work. And I want to make this very clear outside of it being a fiction story. You are trying to turn this around as quickly as possible by bringing in these young roster players instead of acknowledging we're further away than we think. So let's get guys that are younger that were recently drafted, wait on those guys to develop who have higher ceilings potentially, like a Liam Greentree. That's the guy that I would really want in a deal with LA. Instead of saying, you know what, let's do that. Nah, LaFerrière. I'm sorry, but that's just disappointing. Very disappointing. I mean, even with Seattle, instead of asking for a Jake O'Brien, a Berkeley Catton, Shane Wright. And then the argument I see from other fans, well, maybe Panarin just doesn't have as much value as you think. No. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is Chris Drury wants to turn this around quickly, and he wants guys that are roster ready to go to help the team next year. That's what this is. It is nothing to do with Panarin's value. I know it's that. The funny part was seeing Sean Avery post on his Instagram story yesterday being like, oh yeah, retool is all we need. Fuck no. Or something along the lines of that. I don't know. But I thought I was optimistic and figured the second wild card so we get a shitty pick. So that's what I thought. I thought they were going to be middle of the pack so they don't get a good pick. Hard to get excited tanking when this team can't develop young talent. That's why this team, they're not winning a cup anytime soon. They're not. They don't develop young talent. They're fucked. I don't know. Yes, let me have fun with my green lightsaber. Pause. Schneider's gotten worse every year. Fans jump through hoops for him still. It's so stupid, the whole Schneider thing. If he gets extended, when the numbers with Gavrikov are dreadful, like we're not even talking about treading water, dreadful. If they extend Schneider, which I have a feeling they're going to because Chris Drury, who's having a more disappointing season, the Rangers or Leafs. For me, I would say the Leafs because I had expectations for them going into the year to be a competitive squad. The Rangers, again, I thought second wild card at best. Do I think the longer Panarin is not traded, the less the Rangers will get? I don't know because I don't know how the negotiations are going. It really hinges on that, to be honest. Yes, they probably lost to the Penguins 6-5 in '94, so that means they're winning the cup this year. Yes. Organization's dumb to not admit they needed to do a full-on rebuild instead of a retool. And that's the problem. That is the problem. That's why this letter is bullshit. Who wants Florida? They have no cap. If they want to play any LTIR guys, we would get aging Evan Rodriguez because he went to BU. It sucks because I like Evan Rodriguez, but not in this sort of deal, not in these circumstances. I don't know what else you would be able to get, honestly. Yeah. I really don't even know where else you'd be able to go in a deal with Florida because Lusterreinen, sure, not doing it for me. Um, yeah, I don't know. And Florida's out of a playoff spot to where I don't know. If I were them, I would just accept my losses, hope we could sneak into the playoffs this year. If we do, great. If we don't, we don't. Um, and then try to regroup for next year because Bobrovsky's off the books and they can make a hell of a offer to a free agent or two. And this is the thing: anyone that looked at this roster as anything competitive, you were lying to yourself. I mean, I sat here what in September and rattled off all of the questions and concerns I have with this team. And then October 4th, after the preseason, I said, or maybe even in the middle of the preseason, I said, this Rangers team's not going to be good. Drury should be ashamed of what he built. And it was great to pull up the receipts from that tweet. And then I had someone tell me I was taking a 3-pointer from the moon. Let me tell you something. You see these? I watched the games, and I know for 6 years now, they weren't actually a dominant team. They were getting older. And last year showed you that this was not going to get better. If the LA rumors are true, we are fucked. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I have no optimism on the front of getting a good return for Artemi Panarin. Unfortunately, because it sucks. You could get a good return. You could get a Liam Greentree, but nah. We want LaFerriere. We want a guy that at best is a 50-point player that is at best on a cup team, your sixth best player in the top six. I would be happy right now if you told me the Rangers could get from LA Greentree, a first, and a mid-round pick. I'd be happy with that. But LaFerriere, a first, and a mid-round pick. The whole thing where there was that report that Drury wants to get it at the start. How do I want to phrase this? The way that it went down is apparently he wants at minimum the conversation starts at a package comparable to the Brock Nelson trade of last year. That's worse than the Brock Nelson trade. That is worse. Cal Ritchie is a better player. Or I think has a higher ceiling, I should say. I should say he's a better player. I think he has a higher ceiling than LaFerriere. I worry if we land McKenna that Drury will convince himself that this team is done rebuilding and he will overspend. I mean, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna they're gonna over rely on whoever they get with this top pick, and they're gonna try to expedite this retool. And unless Gavin McKenna steps in and is in the conversation of a McKinnon, a McDavid, a Celebrini, which could happen, sure. Do I think it's going to? Probably not, because I don't think he's in that upper echelon of first overall picks. I think you're looking at the tier below for what he ends up being. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And even better if I'm wrong and he's a Ranger. Even better if I'm wrong, he's a Ranger, and we have our own superstar player on our hands, because that changes the entire dynamic of where you could go with the direction of this team. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think is that's what I think's the problem here. I think they're gonna rely on whoever they draft first or second overall, maybe third, whatever, to come in, be the superhero, and it's not going to work. It is just not. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they get a McKenna or Stenberg. They step in and are one of the elite first overall picks. I hope. But I don't know. Based on what we've heard with McKenna, seen with McKenna, I have my questions at least. Again, I don't think he's going to be a horrible hockey player. I want to make that very clear. But I don't think, I don't know at least, I should say, if he is going to be in that world class talent tier the way that we thought maybe a couple months ago, even. At this point, it's best for the Rangers to lose as many games as they can. Absolutely. Rebuilds take patience. Drury and Dolan have none. They're fucked in these hands. Yes, they are. Also, happy birthday, Carson. The Bruins did a rebuild within a year now. Look at that. That's not what they did here. That's not what's going on here, and that's not a comparable at all. You don't have a David Pasternak. You don't have a reclamation project in Morgan Geeky walking through the door right now. You don't have pieces like that. You just don't. Also, is Boston really the model right now that you want to follow? A team that's just on the wild card spot right now, or just in a wild card spot, who I don't think is going far. And also, you know what they also did? They got a pretty good prospect in Fraser Minton in return. Are the Rangers getting a Fraser Minton-esque prospect for Panarin? If they are, sure, that will help you. It's not going to save you entirely, but it would help. But based on what we're hearing, does not sound like they're going to get that. The Rangers just simply do not have some of the tools that Boston has. And again, I I'm not modeling what I want to do after Boston. I'm sorry, that's not the organization to model. What I want to model is a Tampa Bay Lightning. What I want to model is a Florida Panthers, even though they're on the outside looking in. That's because of injuries right now. I want to model my organization after a Colorado Avalanche, a Vegas Golden Knights. That's who I want to model after. Not Boston. Maybe once upon a time, Boston was a team that you would want to you'd want to follow the blueprint of. Now, no. This will not happen at all. They're not getting Misa and Dickinson in the same deal. That would not happen. I would sign me up if it could, but it won't. Best chance we have of getting any decent return is Carolina, San Jose, or Washington. Probably. I would say LA still you could get a good return. You're just you got the GM who doesn't know what to ask for. um Carolina though, yeah, because you could charge an in division tax too, and I don't know what young roster player they would get in return, but you could at least ask for it. Or if you're getting a Bradley Nadeau, I like the ceiling of what Bradley Nadeau could be over what um what Laferriere is right now. And you have to question too, are they trying to look at these players that are NHL ready and you have a safe floor because you don't trust your development staff? Like, is that what this is? Do you not trust what you have? Which I guess rightfully so, but what does that say if you're the man in the GM chair that feels that way? Yeah, and this is happening with Drury. Sit back and enjoy the shit show. I'm saying if you can't get a good enough return, I would buy Lafreniere out. They don't have a defensive core. They have how many legit top six forwards would we say the Rangers have right now? Because outside of Panarin, who's going to get moved, Zibanejad, who I view as more of a second line center on a legit cup team. If you want to count JT Miller, and then Trocheck. Those are your guys I would say are top six forwards on this team. And then you have two defensemen that are actually good. And one of them's injured. How did Florida do it with none, if any, homegrown talent? I mean, that's not correct, though, because they did have homegrown talent. They had Barkov, who is their number one center. They have Aaron Ekblad, who is one of their better defensemen. Anton Lundell came in. And the biggest context, and this is the part people don't understand, is part of a rebuild. Part of why you stock up your assets is because when a star player becomes available, like a Matthew Tkachuk, you have the ammo to go out there and make a big splash. They took Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, and turned that into Matthew Tkachuk because they had the ammo. The Rangers had the ammo when Drury walked in. He had the ammo to go get Jack Eichel, but he thought Mika Zibanejad was a better player than Jack Eichel. Put freaking duck farts sounds all over the stream right now because that couldn't have been any more incorrect. Piss. We should have known the freaking player evaluation was completely out of hand then, but he told us with his first trade either way that, Pavel Buchnevich is worth nothing to him. He told us what his player evaluation was the moment he walked through the door, but didn't want to trade for Eichel. Could have traded for Tkachuk. Like, you could have argued they had the assets at the time to go get Tkachuk, especially with what Niels Lundqvist went for. You could argue he could have went in the deal, or Schneider as one of those top defensemen to go back to Calgary. You could have threw in one of your top forward prospects or two, because obviously it's hard to compare Huberdeau coming off a 110-point season to the unknown of Akaka or Lafreniere, but you could have hypothetically done it. But I won't kill him as much with Tkachuk because I don't know how feasible it was. The Eichel thing's inexcusable, and then don't even get me started with Guentzel. You knew Kaka was nothing but a third line forward at that time. Brennan Othman, he was what he was at the time, and he was just married to the guy, his first ever draft pick, and then a first round pick that became EJ Emery. Those were the two that were inexcusable. Eichel and Guentzel were inexcusable. But back to the main point with what else Florida did. I mean, the other thing they did is they were able to hit on reclamation projects, and they bought on a Sam Reinhart who had good seasons in Buffalo, but they saw a good player there and said, you know what, we could really elevate Sam Reinhart's game, because you know what, he's not going to be relied on as the top player like he is in Buffalo. He's going to be more of a complementary piece compared to what he was in Buffalo, where Eichel was already out the door and then he was relied on as Buffalo's top player. They saw an opportunity there, gave up Devin Levi and a first round pick, because Florida, they acknowledged we have a logjam right now at a certain position, and it was goaltending at the time. We have a logjam We just signed Sergei Bobrovsky to an absurd deal. We have Spencer Knight in the system. Why are we going to keep Devin Levi around when we could sell high on him off of what he was doing over in college at the time? We could sell high on him and get a player that, you know what, at worst, he's a 60 to 70 point player. At best, we get better because he's playing next to one of our best players in Sasha Barkov. Sam Bennett. Um, they took a swing on him when the value was nothing to get him. And that was another thing. He was stepping in and going in a role that fit Florida better than he was the role he was in Calgary. Took a swing there. Gustav Forsling, waiver claim. And admittedly, that one's hard to wrap anyone's head around because it was just an unbelievable reclamation project hit. But again, they were able to do that. They took a chance and it worked out. And then obviously some of their other pieces have departured since winning those cups, like a Montour who was good for them for a bit. But the main thing is they weaponized their deep asset pool and used it to help get better, to supplement what they already had with their Ekblad, with their Barkov, and then Lundell was on the way as well, which, I mean, he is the best third line center in the game. I mean, I don't know who I would take over Anton Lundell as my third line center. But that's how they did it. And when you have a general manager in Chris Drury, who his idea of reclamation projects are Juuso Parssinen, who has been passed around waivers nonstop by teams because they don't view him as anything. And his career best is a 25-point season in his rookie year, hasn't sniffed double-digit goals at all. When his idea of a reclamation project is Will Borgen, who Buffalo exposed in the expansion draft. Seattle dumped him for nothing, pretty much. Because he was nothing more than the third pair defenseman. Drury's idea of a reclamation project. Who's the other one I'm forgetting? Why am I blanking right now? Parssinen. Who's the other asshole? Oh, Oro Vakanainen. I don't know why I forgot him. Oro Vakanainen sat in the press box in Anaheim last year. And Drury said, I want that. We get good hockey out of him. No. But I digress. I just wanted to go in depth on that one. I don't understand the fascination with Schneider at all. I really don't. When's the Olympic roster freeze? Good question. When is it? Because I honestly have no idea which day. February 4th. I was gonna guess February 4th. And then on the 22nd at 11:59, it is done. Need Lundell if it's Florida? I mean, I would do nasty things, but there's no way Florida's gonna move Lundell. No way. And if I'm wrong, I will do cartwheels and backflips if they land Lundell in return. I don't see it though. I just don't. You'd have to move out another piece. Doesn't seem like Anaheim's going to be a destination like we thought at once. They may be willing to take Panarin though because they're willing to extend, and uh it would be in their window anyway. Just push the season away to injuries. That's a fair point, but if I'm Bill Zito, I view it as we won back-to-back cups without Panarin. Should we really be giving up all these assets to go get Panarin right now? Which, yeah, I mean, he helps for next year, but should we be doing that when we could maybe just pursue him in free agency? Like, how bad do they want a three-peat? Which I know is a dumb thing to say, but at the same time, it's like you could. If I'm Bill Zito, I look at this as a lost season. We had injuries. It sucks. It happens. Let's just regroup for next year. That's how I would handle it. But I get it. It's hard to be in that position and just wave the white flag on a team that just won back-to-back cups. It's really difficult to sit there and say, "Yeah, we're gonna chalk this year up." Sorry, wrong comment. But yeah, this is also the problem. Could have got Rodriguez when he was available. Didn't want to. Yeah, I could tell you right now, they'll probably overpay Kiefer Sherwood and or Alex Tuck this offseason. That's just my prediction there. If you want what I think is going to happen. The first full preseason game, when they couldn't complete a 5-foot pass, we knew they were fucked. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we knew it. We knew it then. You can't teach that level of stupidity. Sullivan's not here to teach them how to play things that should be done at the Pee Wee level. Ducks are out. Love that McQueen kid. So do I, but it seems like the Ducks are not as interested, unfortunately. When Panarin first joined the Rangers, did you expect a cup or two during his time here? Um, yeah, I did. And I didn't expect them to fire Gordon and JD, to more so Gorton, to fuck up this whole thing. Which that's another tweet I got shit for, is that um I think it's bullshit that people are judging Jeff Gorton off an incomplete project. I'm sorry, stupid. Absolutely stupid to sit here and say Jeff Gorton failed this team. You could argue he had piss poor decisions here and there. I'm not going to tell you he was perfect, but I'm not sitting here and judging a guy for incomplete work. Because Drury just stepped in, and that Igor Vezina season would have happened if Jeff Gorton was here. It would have, and who knows what else would have happened. I don't know. I stand with Nick on this, that I still think Jack Eichel would have been a Ranger if Gorton and JD stayed. I truly believe it in my heart. But we'll never know. That's the problem, Frosty. It's exactly the problem. Was watching an old YouTube video and came across an interview of Panarin and Kreider, where Kreider Tripp said, "We sent out a letter and then signed a big ticket, more of a reload than a rebuild." Yep. And that's what happened. And Jeff Gordon even said on a podcast, like, listen, was tough to say no when a top free agent wants to come here, which, you know what that tells me? It tells me Gordon didn't really want to do this Panarin thing. He wanted to stick the course, but Dolan got in his ear and said, no, he wants to be here, so go get him. That's what that tells me. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but that's why I can't judge Gordon. I can't. I can't blame him for the Panarin thing. I think that happened because Dolan stepped in and said, "Oh, this guy wants to play here so badly. We're getting him." But it's something we'll never hear from Jeff Gordon himself. Dave, what's going on? Yeah, we got Sammy Blay. That's another Drury masterclass. Another idea of a reclamation project from Chris Drury. I can't judge Panarin for this because at the end of the day, whatever amount of money's out there, you got to go get your bag, King. Go out there and slay. No, in all seriousness, you got to pursue whatever's out there financially. So I can't blame him for that. Yeah, Verhaeghe's also another guy that they took a chance on, and look at how that worked. And he's another one where he's not relied on to be our best player. Thank you for the $2, NG. Why do people continue to give James Dolan money? No clue. I wish I knew, but people should stop if they are. Drury brought in Kaliev as a reclamation project and didn't play him. Another example too, and another problem. You bring in reclamation projects and you don't play them. If they burn the assets they acquire at this deadline on Jason Robertson, I like Jason Robertson, but holy miscalculation of where you are as an organization. What a miscalculation that would be. Same with me, Shay. Same with me. What do I think of the waiver claim? It is what it is. I don't know where he's playing. You have 50,000 right shot defensemen on the roster. Is he playing on his offhand? Like, sure, see whatever it is. Unless Schneider's on the move, that'd be great. That'd be awesome if he was, but I don't know. Just watched a video earlier about how the Rangers fucked up their rebuild. Really interesting stuff. Yeah, I saw a video like that recommended to me. I just haven't watched it. You and I both will. Can we go through old tweets again? Could go through current tweets, honestly. Because I had a lot of current tweets that I could pull up. The Leas thing was stupid. I'll agree there. The Kravtsov thing, I'm sorry, but another point that Nick made, and I agree with, Kravtsov could have been something. Kravtsov could have been something. But you know who alienated him? The guy who's currently the general manager when he decided to be an asshole and lash out on him in front of all of his teammates. So again, Sure, you could argue reach of a pick there, but at the end of the day, there could have been something there if they didn't fucking alienate him. And even then, I mean, after Kravtsov, outside of Evan Bouchard, is there anyone? And I guess Noah Dobson, but forward wise, was there any other forward that you're looking at and it's like, damn, like Joel Farabee would be putting this team over the edge right now? Like, I don't know. Also, maybe Kravtsov's traded before his value plummets if Gorton stays, because maybe Kravtsov's in a deal to go get Jack Eichel. I just don't see a reason to get Jason Robertson with where this team is right now. That's just my opinion. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, like even after he was drafted, he had good seasons over in Russia. Led his team in scoring at a young age, goal scoring that is. Like I don't know. I think that they just alienated him. This is the other thing. It's just the other thing. Like they could have just seeing what Montreal has done. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. Yeah, this is another thing that was talked about on Twitter yesterday because Nick Zararis tweeted it that he releases that letter and doesn't even address the media when they've been asking for 2 weeks to see him. What a fucking coward. What an absolute coward. You have the balls to release that letter and then not face the media. What a shame. What embarrassment, I should say. But speaking of which, I could pull up the tweets that I had in my mentions from the past day or two because it's been fun seeing all this garbage again since returning. Let's share my screen and go through this bullshit. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, Eric, he's a fun one. He's always in my mentions. Um, so this has to do with my tweet of this tweet because I had this Rob guy in my mention saying President's Trophy and 2 ECF does not scream horrible. With 30 plus teams, championships are going to be far and few in between for how many franchises. That sort of run is a success by any measure, as was the run that was included a finals appearance. This is everything wrong in a nutshell here. Everything wrong. Because how many times are the Dallas Stars in the conference finals? The Islanders were in back-to-back conference finals. The Vegas Golden Knights do it regularly. The Oilers have been in the finals. The goal is to win a cup. It's that simple. And not only that, the goal with the rebuild should be to be a sustained winner. And 3 years, 3 years of a window is a failure. Forget where they got, forget the conference finals, which they shouldn't have even been in the conference finals the first run. Forget that. The context matters here that they rebuilt for a 3-year window. That is not a success. You did not win in that 3-year window, which makes it even more of a failure. So this whole narrative that, oh, but those 30 plus teams, championships are going to be few and far in between. Just stop. Stop. You're missing the entire point. Let's see. What else is there? Oh yeah, the Guentzel thing too, because I had this Tom guy in my mentions who ended up following me. I'm very unsure why. Telling me that this was just funny because I still see these comments to this day for justification as to why the Rangers didn't get Guentzel. Well, the Rangers beat Carolina, so Guentzel didn't help Carolina. Don't be silly. He didn't help. Didn't help. Yeah, he really didn't help. And it's funny to me because I replied to him with this. The funny part about it is every time I critique Igor Shesterkin, every time I do, it's, well, the team in front of him isn't good, and that's the issue here. But with Jay Guentzel, he was expected to be the Messiah. He was expected to backpack Carolina to the finals by himself. Otherwise, failure. He didn't help him. Didn't help him. And the fact that he's saying he's not helping Tampa Bay, yeah, he's not helping the team that's at the top of the East. I mean, how could I be so silly? How could I be so dumb to think Jake Guentzel, an elite talent, is not, like, how could I think that he's helping the Tampa Bay Lightning be at the top of the Eastern Conference right now? I mean, that's just pure stupidity for me. I'll put my hand up. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I don't know any better. That was just very stupid of me to think. I'm not sure what I was thinking when I put that tweet out. Apologies. Again, I'm a failure of a hockey fan. I don't know what to say. I can't. It's just the goalpost shifting with the Guentzel thing. First, he's a Crosby merchant. Then the broken finger means he's not going to be good. Then it's, oh, well, he didn't help Carolina beat the Rangers. The Rangers won that series, even though they almost got reverse swept. Now it's, oh, he's not helping Tampa Bay. And this is the thing. Jake Guentzel is what Chris Drury thought JT Miller is. He gave up more to get JT Miller than it would have cost to get Jake Guentzel. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Scott Morrow coughed up the puck on the first goal yesterday. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up a few more comments here that I might have missed. Why no live stream last night? I honestly, I didn't feel like going live after the game last night, truthfully. I'm here now. Because that's what the Rangers do. They show up late. They showed up in the third period, and that's good enough for the captain. What else there? Yeah, Robbie, another disaster. 3 straight 100-point seasons without his input. 2 straight playoff misses with him. His prints are all over. Fire him. That's the thing. And that's the other thing. These Drury shills try to say, well, the conference finals runs. I hate to tell you, but Jeff Gorton built that team. Jeff Gorton built that team. Can't. Can't. Yeah, Guentzel put up 7 goals against us in the first round in 2022, but we beat Pittsburgh. So, yeah, no, we didn't need him. Guys, the Rangers they didn't need Sidney Crosby in 2022 because they beat the Penguins. Like that's what you're basically saying. The Rangers don't need to get Sidney Crosby, even though that would have been the perfect matchup against the Lightning. They don't need Sidney Crosby because they beat the Penguins in 2022. Just that's basically what you're saying. I can't. I can't. Oh, here we go. Okay. This is what I was waiting for. The tweet that I put out yesterday. Chris Drury set the franchise at least half a decade back 1 year ago today with the JT Miller trade. This is all I got hit with. Is a bunch of people that look at this in a vacuum. That is the problem. That is the issue that you guys have, the front office has. You can't look at it in a vacuum. Sure, Filipinos 1 hit away from not playing hockey again. Sure, Victor Mancini might just be a third pair defenseman. I mean, Ben Kindle, I would really love on this team right now because this team needs young talent. And he looked freaking great yesterday. You're missing the point that there was no need to make this trade. The window was shut. There was no reason to get JT Miller, who is aging and is a known locker room cancer. And by the way, all the JT Miller fans tell me, oh, but look at his points. Look at his points. Yeah, he's not the 100-point player that he was in Vancouver. And on top of that, his points are empty calories. He's been on the ice for 64 goals against this year. While putting up, 35 points? Yeah! Like, enough with the nonsense. It's just so stupid. This, looking at it in a vacuum view. I can't. And this is another thing as well. Heaven forbid the Rangers gave Muse any sort of leash when they knew they were firing Laviolette by January. Like, you can't tell me they didn't know by January Laviolette was not going to be back next year. But they didn't want to put Dan Muse in place. You know why they didn't? They were scared. They were scared Dan Muse was going to do a good job, and that gives them a reason to not hire the guy they've wanted all along. They were scared. Blue teamers ignore the context that Miller is over the hill, has a terrible contract, and is a known locker room cancer, but sure, let's trade for him and make him captain. That's the point. That, like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, and then I already pulled up Rob's bullshit earlier. Okay, guys, I'm the R word because when Barclay Goodrow was waived, that's what set the franchise back. Silly me. I forgot. Getting rid of a 4th line player is when the franchise got set back. Forgive me. Forgive me. Oh, and then we have this boomer here that was mad at my tweet because I forgot, if you dare if you look at Messier the wrong way as a Ranger fan, that's cynical. because he was saying during the intermission after the second period, got to give the Rangers credit for playing hard, which was even more funny when you see what happened when they started the third period. Um, Louis said to me, there are boomers who want this guy to be our GM. And then Mike, who's probably over the age of 60, says, yeah, we do. He knows about hockey more than you two. And then shout out to Steven jumping in, saying what all of us know is that being a great player doesn't equate to being a good GM, coach, any of it. Whatever. Again, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole about Messi. This comment made me. This reply just made me laugh. And yeah, again, if Barclay Goodrow broke the locker room, you didn't have a good infrastructure in place. It's like how I talk about with the Mets with Jose Iglesias and JD Martinez being gone broke the locker room. If that broke your locker room, then you don't have the right pieces in place. And you know what the Mets did? You know what David Stearns did? He acknowledged that. He said, yeah, this locker room ain't going to cut it. They're soft. They're crying because we lost a depth infielder and a DH that was on the decline and is out of baseball now. They acknowledged that and moved on from the core. Chris Drury? Double down. Yeah, I mean, shit like this. And this is the ironic part. This is the ironic part. And I tweeted this out yesterday also. Is that all we hear about the Rangers is they don't have enough heart, grit, and play with that FU attitude or whatever. The ironic part is that Chris Drury and his captain of choice advertised you guys, advertised to me, advertised to all of us that they're going to be tougher to play against. They are going to be no BS wearing those shirts and everything. What shirt do you have on? They told us that, and they're the easiest team to play in the National. I mean, it's hilarious. The easiest team to play in the entire league. Tampa Bay let Stamkos walk, but Barclay Goodrow, that broke the locker room because he had a good playoff run in 23-24 because he had a lot of points that run, even though he was still outscored on the ice. And yes, this team employing the Rempies of the world just says enough about what this team values. It's stupid. It's stupid. Let's see. What else do we have here? What is this about? Oh. All right. They need to trade Miller for a bag of pucks. I completely agree there. Sorry, I'm just like trying to find something here. I mean, to be honest, the first is the only thing missing this trade. Like, no, stop. Just stop looking at this in a vacuum. Just stop looking at the Miller trade in a vacuum. It's really not difficult to understand. We said this at the time. That reminds me, where is that comment? Where is that reply? Here we go. This is the one I was looking for. Susan Brooks. All right. Susan Brooks, revisionist thinking. This trade was very well received at the time, and it will turn out to be a positive. I love Hedel, but he's one hit away from a career-ending injury. After already missing most of the season, Mancini's been up and down. Revisionist thinking. Did I or did I not hate the trade at the time? What revisionist thinking is she talking about? Most fans, I should say most fans, a good portion of the fan base, though, at least, did not want this trade to happen. We did not want this trade to happen. This isn't revisionist history. Again, though, another person looking at the trade in a vacuum, and it's going to turn out to be a positive. When? How? How is this turning out to be a positive? The locker room has got worse since he's got in here. Since they named him the captain, especially. And he's getting older. And he's only going to be more injury prone. How is this going to turn into a positive exactly? Am I missing something? He's the laziest fuck out there. And, like, stop with the injury excuse. An upper body injury does not excuse him from his lack of back checking. Just stop. His lazy penalties. I mean, how many times do we have to go through this? This isn't revisionist history. And no, this was not the problem. The problem was not making that trade. The problem was extending Will Borgen after 10 games. And the reason why they extended him was a lie. All this general manager does is lie to us. His reasoning at the time was, well, we found our right-handed defenseman to play with Keandre Miller. And then you trade Keandre in the offseason. And you split them up before the season even ends. Oh my God. All this general manager does is lie. And people are still convinced that this letter means something. It was nothing but damage control. And he got what he wanted because I haven't heard fire Drury chants at the Garden since the letter. It was nothing but damage control. It's just bullshit, man. It's just so stupid. This general manager is the fucking biggest liar. I mean, this is another thing too with the Gorton thing. It's like, how many coaches has Drury gone through in a short span? Because everyone cites the conference finals runs and everything. They've been through 3 coaches. They're on their third, you could argue fourth, because he did fire David Quinn, who's back on the staff too, because this organization's such a joke that they let a coach they fired back on the staff as the assistant coach. And that coach not even being good. For everyone pointing to the success, there's so much drama and so much ugliness that they've been through so many coaches in a short span. Oh my God, this general manager, I'm getting mad again because it's not even the play on the ice. It's just how much this general manager is an idiot, how much he lies to us. Like, it's just so fucked up. Yeah, no, we shouldn't be doom and gloom. They're only 18 to 20 players away from being a contender. I'm losing my shit here. And this is the other thing. If you are too injured, then don't play. How many times did we say this about Trouba? Look at what happened with Ryan McDonough in Tampa Bay. You have John Cooper. Oh, we'd rather him be healthy and good to go at 100%. The letter was Drury's way of stating what happened, what had to happen because they suck and he's lucky Fox and Igor injuries were able to give him an excuse. That was the other part that made me so mad. He had the balls to pull the injury card. He had the balls to pull the injury card. Like, those two weren't healthy last year and the team sucked. Like, those two weren't healthy at any point of this season and the team sucked. I mean, come on. Did I see? I is that Lauren? That's who I think it is with that at tweet yesterday that there are only two captains in the NHL better than JT Miller. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. Like, is it my turn to say something stupid? Like, is that what the game is? Oh my god. Yeah, he didn't even get to fire David Quinn. Let's see what else there is. Rocky saying stop. No, I won't stop because it's true. Because I'm right. Sorry, won't stop. This was the other guy that looked at it in a vacuum, giving me the statistical breakdown of their points. Um, and he said Drury's awful, but this trade isn't a good example. It's a perfect example, actually, of everything that's wrong. Is because this GM had a total miscalculation of where the roster was. Um, that so it's the perfect example, actually, Adam. It is, and then he says this about how they have no idea what to do with a first round pick anyway. They're not winning a cup. Then I don't know what to tell you. They're not winning a cup. You can't develop a first round pick. As I'm assuming is what the waiver claim. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Sure, they got a risk free defenseman. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. But this is another thing where they're not going to play the guy, so it's like why bother? Why bother? Oh, and then Tom was arguing with Kaylee for a bit. I saw that. I didn't even read the thread or anything, but yeah. And then this, I'm ignoring the context that the players that were traded are never on the ice. That is not the point. And what drives me insane is I said at the time of the JT Miller trade, what they gave up was not the problem. Because in a vacuum, again, I'm going to use that phrase a lot when talking about this. In a vacuum, sure, giving up what they did for JT Miller is fine value. It is no problem with that. But you were not a JT Miller away from being back in contention. This was not opening your window again. That's the part that, again, it's just so dumb. Yeah, Tom doesn't stop at all. And it's, again, I don't even understand why he followed me. Oh, of General Pops. Shout out to General Pops. Oh, yeah, this was my tweet yesterday that also got shit because I defended Jeff Gorton, and that's like an issue for whatever reason in this fan base. I don't know what it is, but this fan base has like a weird obsession with hating Jeff Gorton for literally no reason at all. Like I said, Gordon never got to see the rebuild through. Like the narrative that he failed the franchise is a problem. Instead of the guy that was handed the keys to what was regarded as a top farm system in the national at the time and 27 million in cap space, and he burned all the liquidity. Like he burned every asset imaginable in such a short time to manage to make the window 3 years. But Jeff Gordon was the problem. Jeff Gordon's the asshole. I just, I can't. I can't. I didn't even like go through actually the more of the replies outside of Tom's. Um, okay, here we go. I didn't even see some of these, so some of this will be new to me. Huh? Gordon traded for Trouba, gave him a massive extension when New York was the only place he wanted to go. After he traded McDonough and Miller for nothing, none of his draft picks he made even sniffed the leagues besides Elias taking a nosedive on opening night. All these guys suck. This just isn't true. Everyone's favorite, Will Cooley, was. I'm not wrong, right? Will Cooley was drafted 2020. Or am I a year off? I'm like 90% sure he was drafted in 2020. I don't know why I'm blanking on that right now. That's shame on me. But either way, yeah, 2020. I mean, everyone's favorite Will Cooley is a Gordon pick. So this just isn't even true. This is lies, the last part. But the Trouba thing, okay, great. He fucked up. You know what he wouldn't have done, though? You know what Jeff Gordon wouldn't have done? He would never have let Jacob Trouba wear the C. And maybe, just maybe, if Trouba isn't given the keys to the kingdom with the C, maybe he gets moved earlier. Maybe because Gordon actually commands respect from the players. Maybe you could have got him to waive his no trade clause to go somewhere else earlier. But we just are going to ignore that part. We're just going to sit here and blame Gordon for that when he had no opportunity to even move on from Trouba. Yeah, this is the other thing. He wouldn't have let Trouba be the GM. He wouldn't have let Trouba push him around. And if you think for a second after 2023, let's say Gordon was the GM and he's the one that hired Gallant and that whole rebel happened in the middle of the playoff series. Do you think for a second Jeff Gordon would have sided with Jacob Trouba and his barbecue buddies? Sorry, no. No. Could you imagine in Montreal if the players rebelled against Marty St. Louis? Gordon would tell those players to fuck off. He would have laughed in their face. So, again, like, we're just simply telling lies here. Kravtsov, Anderson, and Lundqvist. Chris Drury alienated him. Elias Anderson, sure, was a fuck up. Niels Lundqvist, sure, credit to Chris Drury, turned it into a first-round pick. Used it on Tarasenko, but thanks for playing. Like, I don't know what to tell you. We didn't even get to see Niels Lundqvist develop here because Jeff Gordon was fired before he could even get a chance to see how Niels Lundqvist could have panned out maybe here. Also, Niels Lundqvist maybe would have been gone in a trade for a superstar instead of a rental in Vladimir Tarasenko. But thank you for playing. Tell me you don't watch hockey without telling me you don't watch hockey. I actually do watch hockey, Death Star Alarm, and I happen to know a thing or two based on what I've been quote tweeting for the past 48 hours. So I do know what I'm talking about, but thank you. I genuinely think if the Tom Wilson thing didn't happen, we would have won the cup. If Gorm was allowed to see the rebuild through, he should have been given 2 or 3 playoff appearances before getting fired. The fact that he was given 0 was a joke. This is a smart individual. This is a smart individual here. I don't have to follow. I don't know if he's even following me, but this is a smart individual. Because you're judging an incomplete product here. It's just so dumb to me that this fan base hates Jeff Gordon for no reason. It's just so dumb to me. And I completely agree. The Tom Wilson thing fucked everything up. And that's the thing I brought up the other day with Panarin, where it's like they jump through too many hoops to accommodate him. This owner is what I mean. The owner jumped through too many hoops to accommodate him. Gorton was a rare GM who was able to convince Dolan to do a rebuild, an actual rebuild. He had the right idea, but unfortunately, it was poor execution that cost him. The draft whiffs ended up on the wrong side of trades, killed him, but still much better than Drury. Sure, I mean, this is a more fair analysis. I don't necessarily fully agree with it, but it's at least a little more fair. Um, Twitter was so much better when you were deactivated. Thank you with your one follower. Appreciate your input there. Appreciate that a lot. Um, I'm honestly glad, and I'm glad that I ruined Twitter for someone. Like that actually kind of warms my heart a bit. That I have that much power that I could ruin an app for someone. Uh, Having players who are projected to be good means nothing if you don't build proper development staff. Hartford has been a cancer on this team for decades now. They never put the coach it. Huh? Who? Wait, who was the director of player development and overseeing Hartford? Who? Who was that, guys? Does anyone know who was the one overseeing the player development? Does anyone know? I'm curious because I'm drawing a blank here of who that could have been. Because I don't know, man. I'm really stumped on this. Oh, that's right. It was Chris Drury. It was Chris Drury. Oh, silly me. Silly me. How can I forget for a second that Chris Drury was the one that was overseeing Hartford? Yeah, the letterman himself. Having a laugh page in 2026. Sorry, laugh for MVP, but like, come on. Come on, man. I can't. I can't. But yeah, yeah. I think those are all the replies there. And then this one's the funniest to me. You guys all want sorry, choked up for a second. You guys all want to blame Drury for the players he didn't grab for wait, what? For the players not grabbing the brass ring they had dangling in front of them. They quit on 3 coaches. He brought in their friends with skill to bring them together and didn't get it done. They weren't good enough. Yeah. Don't let the players push you around, Tom. You know what I mean? That's really the issue here. Where has it got them, Danny? Where has this got them? And it did have to do with trying to reopen the window. It both things are true. What you said, that they want him to clean up the locker room and reopen the window of contention, and neither of those things have been achieved. If anything, the locker room's worse. If anything, he is the worst captain in franchise history, which is funny because the previous one sucked, and the one who's the GM right now sucked. Man, this is funny. This is just funny. Yeah, don't coddle players who are soft and value friendships over winning. I mean, it's really simple. Like I again. Oh yeah, and then Adam admitting he doesn't know what looking in a vacuum means. Then that's all I need to know about you. Like you're just a casual. I don't know what to tell you. Um yeah, and then more of the vacuum viewers. Uh let's say. And then this was a Kings fan telling me we were overvaluing Panarin, which isn't true. Like I said, I would gladly take this return and be happy. I don't think they're getting the return that Louis was talking about. I respect Louis, but I I don't think they're getting LaFerriere plus Green Tree and a pick. Like that's just not happening. I will listen. Chris Drury, that would be his best trade ever. I'll be the first to admit that that's the best trade he's ever made, but that's not happening. Um, I feel like that might be it here for the good stuff because everyone else just was laughing at the receipts that I brought out. Yeah, it would probably be his first trade win potentially if that happened, which is why it's not. Um, wait, what was this? Oh yeah, this guy. That yeah, forgot about him. Um, yeah, that was fun going through that. Wrong thing. There we go. That was fun. But you just gotta love uh the inability to put context together. You really just gotta love that. Okay, so this is just Dolan's burner. I'm convinced at this point, right? Like this has to be someone related to Dolan because that's the only way I could actually think that this person's being serious right now. Yeah, you'll love to see how stupid the blue teamers are. Listen, I can tell you right now, I'm only a few weeks from not giving a fuck entirely. Not that I really care right now. I'm just mad that Drury's still here, but pitchers and catchers report very soon, and I am thrilled about that. I am very thrilled about that. I am going to be so happy watching baseball again, where I'm actually, like I said, whether the Mets do go far or not, I'm at least emotionally invested in every pitch, and that's at least exciting. Yeah, 10 days until pitchers and catchers report. Couldn't be any more thankful because I my head is going to freaking explode talking about this team again. Because it just like it honestly is incredible the um the takes that some individuals have about this team. Like it's actually I don't know. Like I it's truly incredible though that people could have a positive outlook on this. It's unbelievable. The Knicks, I don't know how I feel about. I gotta see how the deadline goes. What makes me the expert? I'm not claiming to be the expert, but I've called a lot of the shit out before it happened, and it's unfolding in front of our eyes. Like I again, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not trying to sit here and sound condescending because other people called out the same things too. It's just people like you were too ignorant to acknowledge that it's the case. And you still are being too ignorant to acknowledge that it's the case. Like I'm really not trying to sit here and sound condescending. I sincerely mean that. But again, I said a lot. Keep reading Molly Walker. Molly Walker defended this team, and she still does. She thinks Artemi Panarin should be staying, and I think that's stupid. So no. At least I have Knicks, Yankees, Manchester City, NYCFC, especially the Mexican national team, since they give me hope that they could win, unlike the Rangers. Yeah, I'm just glad that I need to dive into other sports because like this isn't turning around anytime soon. This just isn't. Like I said, unless they get McKenna and McKenna's one of the upper echelon players, which I find it hard to believe, especially on this team. Um, yeah, this isn't turning around anytime soon. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know how long it will be that I'm streaming a little more regularly. No idea. When do we get our McKinnon? Never exactly. And unless McKenna ends up being that, um, yeah, this team is in for a rough stretch for a very long time, and it's going to be funny that if that does, in the event that does happen where McKenna is good, it's going to be funny when people try to tell me, "Oh, see it, look at JT Miller's culture that he built." It has nothing to fucking do with that. Because people just like correlate shit the wrong way, and it's just so funny to me. If we can't get a legit return for Panarin, just keep him. I would be very pissed about that because he's leaving in free agency no matter what. Because playing with Othman and Taylor Radish when he comes here, exactly. Like it sucks. Like I'm not even going to throw a party if this team wins the lottery. Hey, don't tell the blue teamers that, Nick. The lottery just another false lifeline for Drury, which will fail him anyway. That's the funny part too, is that it's like you said, just another lifeline. Troy will pass on McKenna because he's not a Boston guy. True. True. Cannot believe I've been live for an hour 40. Honestly, like I did not think that it's been that long. But I am gonna wrap this up in a few minutes. So final questions, comments, concerns. Send them in. And then I'm gonna wrap it up. But yeah, all I know is that it's funny to see people still swim in delusion. Like after everything that has happened, it's funny to see these people still swim in delusion about this team. Yeah, same with me. I until Drury's gone, I will not be excited about this team. I just simply won't. I'm just glad at least a lot more people uh came to the light of it because it took too long. It took way too long. But all right, I'm gonna wrap things up here. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.